What chapter is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6! It's chapter 6. Equations and inequalities. You get it? Watch the video. You might learn something.
Okay, hello. Chapter 6, practice test. Let's do this. So, we're looking right here at the first standard. It's solve an inequality and graph it on a number line. What I noticed in my class is that some of you guys have forgotten inequalities, even though we did them before equations. But the good news is they function pretty much the same. So you're going to solve this inequality just like you've been solving equations. And we're like, for A, we're going to get this down to say M is something to a number. In this case, the symbol is greater than or equal to. I can actually tell from the beginning it's going to stay like that because I'm going to keep the M on the left side. We'll talk about the graph when we get done. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm trying to get my variable alone, so I want to move the constant over first. If I could have simplified things, I would have, but there was nothing else to do. Now I have 4m is greater than or equal to 32 minus 12 is 20. 4m is greater than or equal to 20. I saw some students trying to leave it like this and graph. Remember, we're not graphing the solution for 4m, we're graphing the solution for 1m. So I need to get rid of that 4. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4, just like I do in an equation. Remember, this guy over here is a giant 1. That's why we did that. I'm going to move over here. I apologize for that. M is greater than or equal to 5. Now we go to graph it. I like to do a real simple number line. If your teacher told you to add more numbers than this, make sure you do. But as long as I have 3 lines, I'm good with it. So I say I'm going to put my number that I'm starting from in the middle by 5. That's a wacky looking 5. I'm going to put a 4 over here and a 6 over here. This shows me what direction the numbers greater than 5 are. It shows me what direction the numbers less than 5 are. Now I'm saying the solution for this inequality is when m is greater than or equal to 5. So I'm going to start at 5 and I'm going to draw a circle. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to point my arrow. I'm going to shade in all the numbers greater than 5. And I go back and this said I could have been equal to 5. So 5 is included as a solution. So I'm going to go ahead and shade that in. And this is now showing 5 and all the numbers greater are a solution. Let's move down to B now. So B is a little more complicated because we have more going on over here on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms first. So 5x minus 2x leaves me with 3x. I still have my 14 and it's still less than 44. Now we're kind of more or less where we were at A. So I got to move the 14 over. I subtract 14 from both sides. 3x is less than 30. And again, now I just need to get rid of that coefficient because I don't care what 3x is less than 30. I want to know what x is less than. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. I apologize for the bell. It's lunchtime right now. And again, this is a giant 1. 30 divided by 3 is 10. So I'm going to have to come over here. So x is less than 10. Again, 10 in the middle, 9, and 11. I'm going to do an open circle this time. I'm not going to fill in the circle because x is less than 10, so I'm not including 10 in my answer. I'm going to draw an arrow to the left. I have a feeling someone's going to burst into my room, so I'm going to try to see if I can get through one more before I have to pause the video. Again, combine like terms. This time the constants. So 6x, 30 minus 5 is 25, greater than or equal to negative 23. I'm sorry I didn't leave enough space on here. I really wanted to get it onto one page. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. And I'm going to bring this over here. So now I have, here's a video, or here's an announcement for your video. You get to hear if you got called to the office today or not. All right, so that was fun. All right, so we subtracted 25. Now I have 6x is greater than or equal to, that's negative 48. And again, I want to divide here. So divide by 6. I'm sorry for this whole left to right thing. X is greater than or equal to negative, and that goes, I should know that. So 6 goes into 30 5 times, and then 3 more to get up to 48. So -8. Yeah, okay. So -8. And I'll just graph this up here. There's -8. There's -7, because remember the lower absolute value is actually the higher number on this side of the number line. And -9. It's a closed circle at -8, and it's greater than, so my arrow is going to the right. All right, quick cut here, because I'm sure things are going to get loud for lunch. All right. Whoop. All right, standard 2. It says, write the expression that these mats are showing. Simplify and state which mat is greater. So I'm going to start with the original expressions, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to simplify the expression as I simplify the mat. You might want to ask your teacher if they're going to require you to do that or not, because some of us might do things just a little bit different here. So I'm going to start with the original expression. On mat A, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 positive x's, and I have 1, 2, 3 negative x's. I'm going to go ahead and write this as adding 3 negative x's. I think I'm a little more comfortable with that right now. I have 1, 2 positives. Remember gray is positive and white is negative. So +2, and then I have 1, 2, 3 negatives, so plus -3. And then on mat B, this is mat A, on mat B, which is going to go outside of the lines a little bit here, we have 2x. I'm going to do this right here. 2x. I have 1 negative x. I have 4. And I have -1. So plus -1. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I'm falling off the page there. Hopefully you can see that okay. Let's go ahead and simplify over here, and then we'll see what we can do. So we already combined like terms. I'm going to do 0 pairs. That's the next part of combining like terms. So over here, I can circle a positive x and a negative x. This negative x and this positive x. These are arranged in a very difficult spot to show your circles, but that's okay. And we'll do this positive x and this negative x. It's going to be a fun looking one. So those guys are all gone. I still have 1 x that's left. Same thing for my units now. So a positive and a negative are gone. This negative and this positive are gone. And I'm left with just a -1 over there. So plus -1. As you guys know, we can also look at our expression, right? So 4x and -3x gives me 1x. 2 and -3 gives me -1. So I'm where I should be. Let's do the same thing over on the other side. Negative x and positive x, they're gone. So I'm left with just 1x. And then 0 pairs. So I have 1 0 pair right here. And then I'm left with 3. So a couple different options right here. We can look at this and just say, okay, if I have a number and I'm subtracting 1, and then I have that same number and I'm adding 3, I know that the one where I'm adding 3 is going to be greater. If you wanted to continue simplifying the mat, you could also now take away balanced sets. So remember, we can remove the same amount from both sides, and the relationship between them is the same. So I can take away those positive x's, which is essentially if we were solving an equation, we would show that by subtracting x on both sides. I know I don't have an equal sign here, but the concept still applies. And we can see that -1 and 3 are what's left. And of course, -1 is less than 3. So mat A is less than mat B. All right, let's move on to standard. Let's have a hard time flipping a page. We'll move on to standard 3, and I'm going to go ahead and do it on a fresh one so we're not seeing writing through the page. All right, we're going to solve these equations. So basically what we just did with the mat, but now we're just going to do it only using symbols. So I start with 4x plus 1 equals 25. I gave you guys 4 steps in one of the lessons. 4 steps for simplifying an equation. Let's talk about those 4 steps real quick. What I said in class, and I'm sure your teacher said a similar thing if you're not in my class, solving equations is not something that we always have to do systematically, where we have to go do this, do this, do this, do this. But it can help to organize our thoughts. So I'm just giving you this list to help you out. I suggest you do the distributive property first. Now there's not always a distributive property in every single equation, but if there is, I like to take care of that right off the bat. Second, I like to combine like terms. which also involves taking out zero pairs. But I'm just going to call that combine like terms. So then I'm totally simplified on both sides of the equation. In fact, this one right here that we're going to start with is already past this step because I can't combine 4x and 1 and 25. I can't do anything with that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove balanced sets. Well, I'm sorry, remove or add balanced sets because sometimes we need to add things to both sides to get x terms on one side and constants on the other. And then finally, once you've done that, so this would be like, now I'm in a situation like 4x equals 24, which is where we're going to be in about 2 seconds when I get there. And then number 4, the last step would be divide by the coefficient, which is the number that's being multiplied by your variable. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this here. We're going to talk about this as we go. So I already said there's no distributive property. There's no combining like terms because we can't combine 4x and 1. So I'm just going to start removing or adding balanced sets to try to get the x's all on the left and the constants on the right. Now my 4x is already all together on the left, so I don't need to do anything with that. I just want to move this 1 over here. And the way I'm going to do that is by subtracting 1 or adding -1. Either one is totally cool. I know that this is a 0 pair. I like to circle it to remind myself that this is a 0 pair because sometimes students will accidentally not make a 0 pair, and if they circle, they remember. That gives me 4x equals 24. I think I mentioned a second ago this is where we were going to be. And now we're going to divide by the coefficient. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. This makes a 1x over here, and x equals 6 in this case. Now, not part of the standard, but if I want to check that my answer is correct to make sure I'm going to get this standard right, I'm going to go back to my original expression, and instead of an x, I'm going to write the number that I got, so 6. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solve both sides. I'm going to simplify them. So 24 plus 1 equals 25. And if I get something that is true, like 25 equals 25, I know I have the right answer. All right, on to B. I'll keep this, bring this guy back. Distributive property. Is there distributive property here? No. Combine like terms. Now we have an opportunity to do something. 7x and minus 3x leave me with 4x. Everything else stays the same. Now I'm going to add and remove balanced sets. My x's are already over here, so I want to move the 16 over. It's being subtracted right now, so I'm going to go ahead and add 16 to both sides. I get 4x equals 28. And then finally divide by the coefficient. I'm going to go ahead and move this up here. I'm sorry about the amount of spacing on this. So we're going to divide both sides by 4, and x equals 5, 6, 7. Took me a second to get that one there. Again, let's go ahead and practice checking our work. So 7, plug in a 7 for x, minus 16, minus 3 times 7 equals 12. 7 times 7 is 49, minus 16, 3 times 7 is 21. 49 minus 16, I have to think about this for a second, is 33. And then 33 minus 21 is 12. So we know we have the right answer because we got a true statement there. All right, letter C. Finally, we have the distributive property. So I'm going to do that first. 5 times x, 5 times 3. You got to multiply them both. This becomes 5x minus 15 equals 75. Combine like terms, there's nothing left to combine. So I'm going to add 15 to both sides. 5x equals 90. And then I'm going to bring it over here again. 5x equals 90. Divide both sides by 5. And x equals 18. Again, we could check it out. 5 times 18 minus 3. Does that equal 75? 18 minus 3, of course, is 15. And 5 times 15, 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 10 is 50. 25 plus 50 is 75. All right, standard 4, last one. We're almost there. Write and solve an algebraic equation for the following. So make sure you notice that it says to solve that equation. So you have to solve it. You have to write and solve it. You can't just figure out the answer by looking at it. What we have here is we have two sets of lines that are equal to each other because they're lined up. So this is where your equation is going to come from. This top part is equal to this bottom part. So the top line is 2x plus 3x plus 2, and it's equal to 27. 2x plus 3x, 5x. Subtract 2 from both sides, and I get 5x equals 25. Divide both sides by 5, and x equals 5. Again, you can plug it back in. In fact, I might just look right here and go, okay, 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. 10 plus 15 is 25, plus 2 is 27. We're good to go. All right, part B. Me, Mr. Barbera, had a dream where he bought 117 puppies and kittens. The number of kittens was 24 less than twice the number of puppies. How many puppies and kittens did he buy? A couple of my students came up to me today and pointed out that he bought 117. But what I'm trying to ask here is specifically how many puppies and then how many kittens. So we know 117 is going to be our total. But we need to set up an algebraic expression for the number of kittens and puppies. So kittens is 24 less than twice the number of puppies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use puppies as my variable, because then for kittens, I will base that off that. So 24 less than means I'm going to subtract 24. But what am I going to subtract it for? Twice the number of puppies. That's 2x. So now I have, if puppies are x, kittens are 2x minus 24. So puppies plus kittens equals 117. Now this is just an equation. I gave you kind of funny big numbers just to make sure you're comfortable with them, but that's the setup. So now combine like terms. Add 24 to both sides because I'm trying to get my constants on one side and my variables are already together over here. 3x, that's 0. Let's see, 24 plus 17 is 141, I believe. Really hope I'm doing that right. And then we're going to divide this whole thing by 3. And this one, in case you were doing this on a test, you got 141, you're going to divide it by 3. 3 goes into 14 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. I have 2 left over. I bring down my 1. 3 goes into 21 7 times, and I'm done because that's 0 left over. So x is 47. I got 47 puppies. Kitties, I'm going to need to work with that. So I'm going to go 2 times 47 minus 24. Let's practice my mental math. 2 times 47 is 94. 94 minus 24. I'm going to write that out because my brain's getting a little confused here. 94 minus 24 is 70. Woohoo! All right. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.